Concluding Oprah Winfrey's masterful, stunningly McBrave speech. I'm just going to keep using those words over and over because that's what the media does. I mean, if I read you the headlines on Oprah, now I'm going to be forced to read you the headlines on Oprah. Okay, I'm just going, like right now, in real time, to Google News. Oprah knew exactly what she was doing on Sunday night, CNN. HuffPo, Oprah and Stedman hint she's open to presidential run. Sources, Oprah Winfrey actively thinking about running for president. Right, Golden Globes 2018, how Oprah saved the night. Oprah 2020, Golden Globes host Seth Meyers jokes it may be in the cards. Oprah Winfrey triumphs at black-draped Golden Globes. I mean, Oprah speaks out to young girls in Cecil B. DeMille Award speech. Just so much heroism speaking in a room full of other rich people who all are forced to agree with her by the news cycle about everything. Because if they don't, then we'll all accuse them of sexual abuse or being complicit in it. I mean, the thing about speaking truth to power is that it would be good to do that when there's actual risk involved. She was the most powerful person in the media for the last 20 years. She did not say a thing about this happening in Hollywood, a thing. And now she's being used as the point person on this. She's the queen of bravery. It's like Roger Goodell saying he's taking the lead on concussions. I keep using that because it's the best example I can think of. It's like the president of Penn State saying he's taking the lead on child sexual abuse. Okay, you can't do that. It's just ridiculous. It's hypocritical and ridiculous. And again, I agree with everything she's saying. I agree. But where was she 6 months ago? Okay, not even that long ago. Okay, this is the part that really drives me up a wall. So she actually compares women who are being victimized in Hollywood to a woman who was raped by six white men in 1944. A black woman raped in Alabama, and the guys were not prosecuted for it. Here she is talking about it.
In 1944, Reese Taylor was a young wife and a mother. She was just walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men, raped and left blindfolded by the side of the road. For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men. But their time is up.
Oh, so much emotional. Lecture us, Hollywood. Lecture us on this, right? Lecture us, because it's not like you are the scandal. Why? Yeah, you lecture me, Oprah. Yeah, you lecture me. I wasn't the one who was whining and dining with, Harvey Weinstein 5 seconds ago. The hypocrisy of it just drives me up a wall. Listen, I'm glad that Hollywood is finally owning up to the issue. Do I think there's going to be any material change in Hollywood, by the way? No, I think this is all going to die down in 6 months and things will go back right to what they were before because no one's naming names. Does Oprah have a Rolodex? She knows all these guys. She got anything to say about any of them? A name? One? How about that? And the part that drives me up a wall here is the implication that America in 1944 is the same as America in 2018 with regard to allegations of rape, particularly cross-racial rape. Okay, if a group of white men raped a black woman, not only would it be front page story across the nation, the president would sound off, every person in America would be calling for those guys to be strung up. How do I know? Because it was a national scandal when Al Sharpton claimed that Tawana Brawley falsely was raped by a bunch of white men. It was a national scandal when the Duke lacrosse guys were falsely accused to have raped Crystal Mangum, who was a black stripper in Duke. And when that actually happened, we want those guys to go away forever. To pretend that society now and society then are in any way similar, and she said, and that the Me Too movement is what changed that. Guess what? The Me Too movement didn't change that. Everyone was against rape, and everyone is still against rape. We were against rape, we are against rape, we will be against rape for my entire lifetime. And this pretend nonsense that 1944 is the same as now, or that it requires the same kind of bravery, no one should compare Reese Taylor to Oprah Winfrey. Okay, nobody should be comparing Rosa Parks to Meryl Streep. If you are, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And to compare America Alabama circa 1944 with America circa 2018 in Hollywood, the repository of all the sexual abuse is just vomitricious. It's just a bag of vomit. Okay, now, there's a lot of talk about Oprah should run for president off the basis of because again, what courage. What unbelievable courage. By the way, I did note this last night, and a bunch of people got mad at me for saying so. But how many times was Ron mentioned last night? Waiting? I didn't see it mentioned once. Did anybody else? I didn't watch the whole program because I'd rather have gouged out my eyes with a spork. But if you actually were watching this thing, was Iran mentioned? I like when she says, we side with women all over the world. That would have been a good time to talk about maybe places around the world where women are being routinely victimized, not just in the United States. And Oprah, by the way, cares about things happening around the world. She founded a school for girls in South Africa, right? She actually cares about stuff happening outside the United States. Wouldn't now have been a good time in that speech to say, not just women here, but women in Iran, and women in Saudi Arabia, and women in Egypt, and women right? Couldn't you have just listed those off in the middle of it? But no, because Hollywood is deeply invested in Hollywood itself, and they have to show that they're leading the fight against themselves, which of course is not true at all. Okay, so would Oprah Winfrey win a presidential election? Number one, the person hardest hit last night is Joe Biden, because Oprah Winfrey would win the primaries. Oprah Winfrey would obviously win the primaries, right? Joe Biden would get shellacked by Oprah Winfrey, not just because Oprah Winfrey is black, but because Oprah Winfrey is deeply talented, and she spent 30 years building up a stock of goodwill with the American people, and particularly with women. So let's talk more about the general election, because I think that if Oprah ran, she would almost assuredly win the Democratic primary nomination process. Could she beat Donald Trump? So here's what she's got going for her. There are about 5 arguments in favor and 5 arguments against. First, she is the most famous woman in the history of mankind. That's not really an exaggeration. She's the most famous woman in media. This is a time when people have access to information about other people at a rate never before known by man. She's the most famous person ever, right? She's so famous that Donald Trump has spent years praising her. In April 2012, quote, Oprah will end up doing just fine with her network. She knows how to win. May 2014, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Oprah Winfrey, right? There are a bunch of arguments here in favor of Oprah. She's a uniter, not a divider, right? Her whole brand is I bring people together, I unite people, I make people happy, right? She's the warm and fuzzy, whereas Trump's whole brand is firing people and acting tough. So Oprah, there would never be a bigger gender gap than Oprah versus Trump, right? There would be the gender gap would be enormous. It would be like 90-10 for women for Oprah and 90-10 for men for Trump. It would be an enormous gender gap, and it goes on here. I'm gonna continue in just a second, talking about what exactly her qualifications for office are. Her other qualifications here, third qualification, she has a terrific personal story, right? So her personal story is really good. Unlike Trump, who grew up super duper wealthy and then became super duper more wealthy, largely through branding power, she was born legitimately dirt poor in Mississippi to a single mom, raised in inner city Milwaukee, molested as a child, pregnant at 14. She apparently miscarried. She got into radio at 19 and made herself worth $3 billion. And so her personal story is terrific. She definitely checks the left's intersectionality boxes. So she gets to say woman black over and over, and that's what the left wants. So the DNC yesterday tweeted out what would qualify women for office. What would qualify a woman what would qualify someone for office? Said we need to elect more, and then it's had a whole list: Jewish women, Asian women, black women, lesbians, and just transgender women, like a whole list, and said we need more women. So when it comes to the left's view of what qualifies a person for office, Oprah's high on the list, right? Black and woman. She also has crossover appeal in a way that, for example, Hillary Clinton didn't, right? Hillary was a woman, but other women didn't like her. Oprah's a woman that other women really like a lot. She polls well also, by the way. As of March 2017, she had a 49-33 favorable rating. Honestly, I'm shocked that her favorable rating is that low. I would think it would be closer in the 50s. She led Trump, and actually polled her against Trump, and she leads Trump right now 47-40 in the polls, which is not a blowout, by the way. That's more like Hillary Clinton numbers than anything else. So here are the drawbacks. Here's why Oprah would probably not win if she ran. 1, she's wildly inexperienced. Now, that doesn't hold a lot of stock anymore. In the last 2 presidents have had no experience, basically, entering high office. Donald Trump had legitimately no experience entering high office. Oprah's run her own business in the way Trump has. It's going to be hard for him to say you have no experience when he had no experience. She is far left. Her politics will become an issue here. Now, she wants to run as great uniter. I'm the person who everybody agrees is emotionally connected. That doesn't hold once you start running. Once you start running, you become a polarizing political figure pretty quickly, and she is pretty far to the left. She endorsed Obama in the 2008 primaries. It probably helped him win the primaries over Hillary Clinton. She traveled to Denmark in 2009 and openly praised socialism. She's compared Trayvon Martin to Emmett Till, which is, again, just insane. She's a pro-choice advocate. She's made statements in the past like there have been millions of lynchings in the United States, which of course isn't true, about 4,000 lynchings as far as I'm aware, which of course is terrible. But then she's suggested a connection between the time of lynchings and now, right, by comparing Emmett Till to Trayvon Martin. Nobody thinks of Oprah as political, but those politics will jump to the fore pretty quickly as soon as she starts running. She also is kind of kooky. I mean, people say that Trump is a conspiracy theorist. Oprah's kind of a kook. Okay, I know everybody wants to bury that, but aside from her various weight loss theories, she hosted Jenny McCarthy on vaccines numerous times. She pushed, if you recall, the new age silliness of The Secret, which was this idea that through the power of positive thinking, you could heal yourself. And then it became a national scandal when one woman who had cancer said, I'm going to use the power of positive thinking to heal my cancer. It did not work. It was a fail. Right? She went out and defended the fraudster James Frey, as you recall. There was a major scandal for her. She pushed nonsense about the meat industry that had the meat industry actually suing her. So, look, Trump is a conspiracy theorist too in a lot of ways, but the difference is that Trump is already so filled with mud, right? He's covered with mud. He's a mud monster. That throwing more mud on Trump doesn't do him any damage. Oprah is considered this sort of angelic character, and that means that if you throw mud at an angel, the spots are more likely to show on the dress, right? So that there are also scandals that are going to hit her as well. So every person has scandals in their past. Oprah has some pretty bad ones. The worst one was in 2009. Her school that she runs in Johannesburg, South Africa, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy School for Girls, it was hit with a sex scandal, a sexual abuse scandal, actually 2 of them in 2 years. So in 2009, there was a series of students who were sexually abused by other students. The year before, there was a matron who allegedly sexually abused 15 girls, right? She actually fought back by firing the headmistress and all the matrons and giving the girls her cell phone number. But there will be digging into how much did she know? Was she fully aware of it at the time? Right? The story sort of went away because she took the right measures. But scandals hurt everyone. If they hurt Mitt Romney, they certainly hurt Oprah Winfrey. Finally, Oprah versus Trump. Oprah would end up school-marming Trump a lot. Right? She'd end up doing a lot of what Hillary Clinton did. She'd end up standing there going, tutting him for his baseness and his cruelty. It didn't work well for Hillary. Now, Oprah doing it might be more successful, but I'm not sure school-marming works against Trump in any case. So before everybody gets over the moon about Hillary for president, I think there's some real holes in that particular theory. I also think that the Democrats are probably going to nominate somebody who's more akin to Joe Biden.